This is the Barker Historical Museum located on 7 Day Street in Fredonia, New York, 14063. Phone number 716-672-2114. And today is April 12th, 2001. Would you like to tell us your name, please?
Francis W. Flynn.
And your birth date?
November 24th, 1922.
And your current address?
67 Point Drive West, Dunkirk, New York.
And which war did you serve in?
Pardon?
Which war did you serve
I
in?
served in World War II.
And your highest rank?
First lieutenant.
Francis, would you like to tell us, just to start us off, what your most vivid memory or memories of your service was?
Well, of course, there are many memories come to mind, but I think probably one of the most vivid was when, after we were shot down, I was put in a prison for a few days and then taken to a hospital in Bremen, Czechoslovakia. And I had a bad back wound, and an Austrian doctor was assigned to me to take care of me. And it required surgery. And he was a tall, handsome man, and very likable. And he came into the room where I was contained in, and he said, "Well, we're going to be operating on you tomorrow morning." I said, "All right." So he says, "Are you afraid?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, he spoke English, incidentally. He says, "Don't be." He says, "First of all, I'm a doctor, and then I'm a German." So that relieved my mind a great deal. And he did operate on me the next day, and after another month or two in the hospital, I left.
How did you injure your back?
Pardon?
How did your back get injured?
When the plane was shot down, one of these shells from the German fighters hit the oxygen tanks, which are located on the inside of the ship. And one blew up, and part of the clamp that held the oxygen tank to the wall broke off and hit them in the back.
Wow.
And they had to extricate that. And it became infected because I didn't have medical attention quickly enough. But after I ran away, all cleaned up.
Were there other people injured that joined you in the hospital?
There was one other fellow in there who had broken his leg. And they gave us really very good treatment. The only thing that they wouldn't do is when they had an air raid in the city where the hospital was located in Bremen, they took all the German patients down to the bomb shelter, but they kept us in the room because they said that was our punishment for being the enemy.
Aww.
Yes. But fortunately, there was only one occasion where a bomb fell, and it was a U-shaped building, and in the U was like a pool, and a bomb fell in the pool. I don't know if they had around the perimeter of the pool, there was a cage that they kept their rabbits in, which they used for food. And the bomb killed all the rabbits. So we were eating stewed rabbit for weeks on end.
Did they have guards posted at the hospital to keep an eye on you, or
No.
No, it was a little more open.
There was sufficient people there, there was no chance of getting up and walking out.
How long were you a prisoner of war?
I was in the hospital for 3 months, and then I was moved to like a halfway house over in Meiningen, which is in western Michigan, or, Germany rather. And from there I went down to Nuremberg. And they walked us from when the American Army started, after they crossed the Rhine, and they started getting closer to Nuremberg. They walked all of us down to Landshut, or Moosburg rather, which is about 120 miles. And then we were taken into the hands of the American armies and taken back to France.
What was life like when you were talking about having been in Italy? What was that?
In prison
like?
camp?
Yeah.
Well, it was, I'd have to say it could have been worse. It could have been a lot better, but it could have been worse. They had no food themselves, really, the German soldiers. They would get a piece of black, what they call black bread, which was made out of sawdust and some flour. And then they get a piece of wurst along with it, and that was their ration for the day. So we got, in the prison camp, we got the equivalent of a small bowl of cabbage soup or potato soup once a day. That was part of it. But we used to get Red Cross crosses that we brought in once a month.
What was in the parcels?
Well, it was a chopped water, powdered milk, crackers, cigarettes, which we used as a time, and I can't remember what else, but we used to make what we call a Cretan pie out of the crackers. We break them up, make a flour out of them, and take a little of the powdered milk and make it liquid and mix it in with the cracker crumbs and then pat it into a pan that we had, and we take the chocolate bar, cut that up and put that in with the powdered milk, and then we take some of the powdered milk that we had left, and we'd make like a whipped cream out of it. And we put that over the top, and it was delicious.
And those packages came to you never opened by the German soldiers or anything missing out of them?
There's nothing missing.
Nothing.
They came in under the Red Cross trucks brought them in.
And they handed them to you directly?
Right.
I didn't know that. Did they make you do any work?
No.
No.
According to the rules of the Geneva Convention, they could not make any officers do manual labor.
Oh.
Some of the other, I don't mean to be demeaning, but demeaning the privates, and so that they made them do some work.
But officers didn't get asked to do it. So what'd you do to pass the time, besides make pie?
Well, there wasn't an awful lot to do. We did a lot of walking within the compound. We got a shower once every 3 weeks, and it was all cold water, but it was welcome anyway. And I think just read, one of the fellows could read German, and so he would get like a poster where they got from, I don't know, but it kept us up to date on what was going on as far as the war was concerned.
Did, Oh, how large was the compound? How large was the compound? Because you said you did a lot of walking.
I think that would, oh, physically,
Hmm?
I'd say probably took around 2 acres, square acres, something like that. The housing that we had there wasn't that great, but and we had what we call cubicles, and each cubicle was 24 men. And there was 1, 2, 3 bunks stacked 4 on either side. And we had only 3 boards to sleep on, plus a mattress made of straw and burlap. When things got real cold, we used some of the boys was for firewood. I think in that book there towards the back there's probably a picture of the inside of one of the prison camps.
Oh, we'll take a photo of that
Yeah.
to go along with the video.
Did we just, the Germans in charge of the camp were what they call the Vermont Regular Army. And at times they were quite friendly. They didn't bother us at all, really. The ones that did bother were the SS troops, who were part of Hitler's elite. And we were told, don't ever try to escape where you're going to be involved with the SS because they shoot you right away. So we stayed in the group. We walked along the route to Lewisburg, and when we come to a farm, we'd stop there, and the farmers would give us eggs, and we never really had a chance to cook them, but they were very nice. Well, looking back, I'd have to say that the German soldier and the people were much the same as we are, you know. It was a learning experience. I mean, you meet an awful lot of nice people, and there's a lot of memories, some good, some bad. But all in all, I'd have to say that they're probably some of the best years of my life. From the standpoint of different people that you meet. Like when before we got shot down, the 4 officers and the crew, there's the 2 pilots and a navigator and a bombardier. And we all slept in the same tent, of course. And for heat, we had a gas tank mounted outside the tent, with a tube running down inside. And we put some stones over it, and then we had a petcock. We could allow just enough gas and get a decent flame out of it. And one night it sort of blew up a little, but no injuries. But that crew that I went over with, they were all killed. We had gone up to northern Italy on a bombing raid one day, and on the way back I wasn't feeling very well, so I told this other fellow, I says, I'm going to go to the infirmary and have them check me out, which I did. And the doctor said, I think you better stay in the infirmary overnight. You had 103 fever or something like that. So So I stayed in the infirmary, and the next day the crew, the rest of the crew, went up with another pilot. And I remember his name is Rice. He was on his first mission, and they went up to a place called Blackhammer, Germany. And there was no oil refinery in that where they were going. And they got a direct flak hit. Flak hit. Flak is an anti-aircraft shell, 2 3/4 inches around, about that long. That's the fire from the ground up to that's the plane. And anyway, and then they explode either on contact or they have a predetermined exploding time. So this shell apparently, it hits the ship and blew up. Blew the front of the plane off. I assume it probably killed all the people up in front. And then nobody else got out of it. And they were all killed.
So if you hadn't been
So
sick,
if I hadn't been sick, I would have been, so it's,
do you think it was luck or someone watching over you, or just sort
well,
of?
someone had to be,
Yeah.
you know. And when we got shot down, our escape route from up in front of the ship was to go back to the bomb bays. And the bomb bays had doors that open up like this, and the bottom for the falls, the bounce falls. And when I got back to the bomb bays, they were closed. So I jumped on them and couldn't force them open, of course. So I stood on there's a catwalk about that wide. To walk from where I was back to the midsection of the plane. But you couldn't get through there because we wore these chest parachutes. So you couldn't get through there unless you wanted to take it off. So anyway, I tried jumping on the doors again, and I couldn't open up when I stood on the catwalk, and I looked towards the rear of the ship, and I saw a face of Jesus Christ right before me. And I said, I'm going to meet my God. So at that moment, I looked down, and the bomb bays started opening up. When I saw enough daylight to get out, I jumped out. And I don't remember pulling the ripcord. When I came to, I was floating down underneath the parachute. So I beat it twice anyway. But, let's see, I really have no regrets about what happened. I've always felt that I wanted to go back to really Normandy, although I was never there. Because I always felt that the real heroes of World War II were the men that had to jump off those landing barges into the water when we invaded Normandy. Because they're not the only ones, they're the sailors who died under the oceans, and Marines who had to charge the beaches out in the islands. And there's a lot of heroes out there. I never considered to be one myself. I did nothing extraordinary. I mean, I just doing my job.
But you won you were awarded the Purple Heart.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I want to do it again. Not today, I don't think so. I have a little sort of when we went over to Czechoslovakia back in 1994, we visited the Czech people who were instrumental in rescuing, if you will, some of the American flyers from this, because there was 9 planes shot out. 9 United States planes. And we went back there, and first they treated us like we were king, you know. We liberated the Czech people because they had taken over, Germans had taken them over. So we were in this auditorium, and they had us there for speeches and banquets, and I said, we'll never want to leave this place. This is great.
It made you feel welcome.
So they asked each of us to get up and say a few words to the crowd. It was probably 300 people in there. So I said, well, yeah, I said, well, I have a little story. He said, yeah, this is just a falsehood, you know. I said, when we were being shot down, the bottom bay doors were closed, they weren't open. I said, the fellow up in the front end of the jet was supposed to open them. They had an automatic switch up there to open. And the fellow I was referring to, his name was Lloyd Dickinson. So I hollered up to him and I said, Lloyd, open the goddamn bay door so we can get the hell out of here. So there was a pause for a couple of seconds, and he came back, and he says, it's not in my job description.
Oh.
Because you didn't remember the...
Yeah. So did you make a lot of friends?
Oh, yes.
Do you still keep in contact with them?
I haven't over the last couple of years because it's just somehow it's difficult for me to sit down and write, you know, and physically reading more than mentally. But I hear from them once in a while, and I promise myself that someday I'll sit down and write to them just a little more. I haven't forgotten them. But they are truly great people.
I've heard other veterans refer to the men they served with as not really... other veterans, when they talk about the men that they served with, have always, instead of saying, well, they're not my friends, they're my brothers. Did you get that feeling in World War II with these men, or?
It was strange. I don't know if I'm answering your question or whatever you said correctly. It's strange, but we never really made real fast friends when we got overseas. I mean, it isn't that we disliked anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that you may not be here tomorrow.
Wow.
You see? Or I may not be here tomorrow. Or all of us may not be here tomorrow. So it was a strange situation. It was just really wasn't, like calling your friends every day and how are you, and all this kind. We were very nice to each other and cordial, and we liked each other, but there wasn't seem there was any real lasting friendship.
You didn't get close, because it would be...
Pardon?
You didn't get too
Right.
close to them.
Right.
What did you guys do for fun?
Well, we were issued, each officer was issued a 45 Colt revolver. And I knew when we first tried it in the United States, I mean, I couldn't get a bull on the rear end with it. But when we didn't have anything to do one day before us, we took out our 45s and we walked over into this sort of like a rocky area. And so all of a sudden, this rabbit showed up about, couldn't have been more than 15 feet away. So we all opened fire. Not one of us hit him. Because we had a deal with one of the local Italian men over there to clean our clothes. So I don't know, they clean their clothes on the rocks. Well, it seems that we were going to have to go down to the GI issue place to get new undershirt or underpants, and because when he beats a rock, he beats the hell out of them. There's a hole within them as soon as you draw it back. One day we saw Flynn.
Oh.
He came over and entertained us. And he wore his old World War I uniform on. That was nice. Other than that, there wasn't much to do in Florida. It was truly, really, I think, a great experience, and I think one really that the youth of today somehow should maybe go through a couple of 3 years not of war. I mean just the training and growing up. Because say one day you're a boy and the next day you're a man without even knowing it. So hope you are.
What were the uniforms like?
Pardon?
What were the uniforms like?
Well, I guess I gave my daughter my dress code. I think that's all that came back to my possession. Oh, and also I got in there an envelope with 15 cents in it. That was put in my clothing somewhere. But they were really, I think they were excellent looking, you know. They're made with fine quality materials.
Was that wool, cotton, or
Wool.
wool?
So I gave her that Colt's Pretty. Still got the ribbons on it and pilot's wings and the Air Force wings. It was a good 3 years spent.
Was it hot in Italy? Was it hot in Italy? Is it
It
warm?
was pretty much the same as our weather here.
Mm-hmm.
You got, well, up in the mountains, of course, we got a lot of snow, but we were in, not the real south of it, we were probably, we were right almost directly across from Naples. And I think after around 20 or 25 missions, they sent us to a rest camp over there at Capri. And we saw Rudolph Valentino's house there.
Oh.
And the Gracie Field. And Mussolini had a castle there.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful place. I think the water on that island is 75 feet deep, and it just clear as a bell. And we used to get lobster tail dinners there for 50 cents.
What were the rations like?
Pardon?
The rations?
The rations and
That the government supplied you for service?
you mean while we were overseas? Or?
Yeah.
Well, they used to have a mess hall, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd get fried spam in the morning, eggs, I don't know if they were real or not, and coffee and chocolate milk, it was adequate. And they always fixed you a bag of sandwiches to take along with a flight trip. The longest ones we were on were probably 10 or 11 hours. I mean, that's long.
What was it like when you came back to the States?
Well, there's nothing like New York. We came back, we landed in Boston, and from there we went down to, I think it was Newark, and then over to Fort Dix, went through the process of discharge. And then I went back to New York, caught a train back to Dunkirk. And it was just something like you'd been away for a few days and you came back. And, everything just seemed to go as it was.
So I never felt like you had left, like you had been on vacation almost.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I bear no real feeling whatsoever towards anybody. German or whatever. That's all.
What'd you do when you came back?
I ran a restaurant for about 6 years. Well, I got married back in '46. I ran the restaurant until '51. In '51, I went to work at what was then Allegheny Load and Steel Corporation. And I worked there for 38 years.
Oh, wow. We didn't ask you, we probably should have done it in the beginning, but how did you get involved? Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted, yes.
And that was what year?
42.
In 42. And you served till?
I think it was in June of 42.
Yeah.
Well, I was really called into the duty in October of 42. From there, it was about a year, a little over a year before I got my commission and graduated as a pilot. Then went through a period of transition with this training over, going overseas. It wasn't all fun, but it was all like that.
How many times did you have to parachute?
Probably
You were talking about having parachuted. Did you have to parachute?
only one.
Only one? Just that one?
Yeah, only one.
Did you pack your own chute? Did you pack your own chute?
Oh, no.
No, someone else did.
I probably wouldn't be here if I did. I've got a portion of it's a good sized portion, of a German parachute home. To this day, I don't recall how I came across it, but I did over in Germany. I think I had 40 missions in. Got shot down on my 41st, and if I'd gone 9 more, I would have come home. We had to do 50 over there in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the strange thing about it, though, is that I'm not the only one, I'm sure, is that you've never really thought of getting killed. It seems sort of strange to understand that I can't recall. I mean, I'm not saying that I wasn't afraid,
Mm-hmm.
but we never really thought, and I don't think the other people did, of being killed.
Hmm. Do you think that was because of your age? Or
I think a lot of it had to do with the training we went through. I think they trained us to one step above level to being able to cope with these various situations, you know.
so you felt prepared?
Right.
Yeah. If there are a lot of researchers will be looking at this videotape, plus probably teachers trying to make lesson plans and those types of things. So what kind of things would you say to those people and to the students that they might be teaching or the paper that they might be writing? What would be your...
You mean the children I talk to?
Mhm.
Well, I really basically I tried to get the point to them that they really should not forget World War II because the consequences are losing the war. And I really don't think that they have really been exposed to what really went on. And when you think of 20 million Russians dying over there, 10 million, 12 million Germans, you know, it's a lot of people.
Mm.
And I always felt that there should be more past history, including wars, being taught in the schools today. Oftentimes I watch this History Channel, and they have some good programs on there, you know, about the Civil War and World War II, Vietnam War, Korean War. But I'll bet you, if you ask a youngster today, 8, 10, 12 years old, about any of those wars, they wouldn't even know what you're talking about. It was something like 3,000 World War II veterans dying every day. For another 10 years, there's not going to be very many left.
In my research and getting ready for this, there were no remaining World War I veterans in Chautauqua County, and we are losing World War II veterans every day.
Mhm.
And we were lucky that President Clinton passed this bill so
Yeah.
that we can do this project. I'm kind of wondering, as teachers and students will be looking at these, what words were used back then
Yeah.
that aren't used now?
Mhm.
Can you think of any?
Words, I mean, educational words or?
Well, like how some phrases, they come in for a while and then they leave, like daddy-o, or I have found fourth graders don't know what the term going Dutch means anymore.
Yeah.
Those
Dutch
kinds of things.
Street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any words that you can think of that may have been inspired by World War II or that era?
I've never seen anybody.
So like Rosie the Riveter, you don't hear
Rosie the
that
Riveter,
anymore.
yeah.
Did you get letters from home?
We used to get these, yeah. There's some in that book there, I think. And I just, I wrote, all of our mail was reviewed by, so you don't know your secrets.
So nothing was really private.
No. Our life was an open book here. But, yeah, I got mail. I don't know what they call it, email or...
Email?
No, email? What email? Email.
I don't know. Did you get homesick when you would read those, or?
Not really.
Not really. And your family was living in Dunkirk?
Yep. Sure, we were, except when we ran into bad weather, I mean, we would probably be flying like every second or third day anyway.
Oh.
And, that was usually, we used to, in the prison camp, we used to make what we call these, creaky burners. And as I said before, we didn't have an awful lot of wood. So, these things we cut up the wood and the fine chips, line with a match, then we start this thing, it looked like a thing, and there was a little fan on it we would make out of tin. It's like a blowtorch.
Oh.
And whatever you want to heat up, it heat it up pretty fast. Much faster than just trying to set it on still fire.
It sounds pretty inventive. Like you guys were adaptable.
Well, I'll tell you, remember those pies I told you about?
Mm-hmm.
There were fellows who sold these pies out of Britain, IOU, on return, $750. Even today you couldn't give them away. Well, people were hungry. I mean, we weren't. So I went down to about 125 pounds, but you see these films, some of these fellows coming out of these Japanese things and like over in Auschwitz and that, right? I mean, those people were starved. But, you've got enough to keep life going.
Sometimes it made it look like you had a lot when you'd see those other folks, huh?
Yeah.
Is there anything you can think of, you guys, that he didn't mention? We've sometimes found in these interviews that afterwards, the person we were interviewing, when they got to relax and go, oh, I'm off the camera, they go, oh, I forgot to mention this, you know.
Did you want to mention anything about your last flight? The last mission? What happened? Your last mission?
Well, I told her
Did you tell what happened to the whole squadron?
that. I told her, well, that is pretty much the whole story.
Was the oxygen
How it
tanks?
happened that you were shot down?
How it happened?
The Lager, you were in formation. There was a Lager plane and the Germans came in the open air and there was only one plane left to explode.
There was a Lager plane in formation in your last mission?
The lighter, yeah. Lighter got shot down too.
Yes, but I said that your last mission, did you explain the whole thing?
He explained how he was injured and how that happened.
The only, what really happened is that we were one of 4 squadrons making up the second bomb group. And we were the 4th squadron in the group. There was the first squadron, which was the lead squadron. There's one over here and another one on the right. And we were in the back here. And during the process of crossing over the Adriatic Sea and getting up to your altitude, it's rather, I'll say, a long process. I mean, because you have to get information and all of that. But anyway, there were 4 other groups in this thing, and another one way up in front who was the leader of the group, and another 28 planes over here, which is another group, and another one over here, and we're in the back. Well, the leader of the group somehow or other got lost from the lead group up in front. And as a result of that, we began to fall back further and further from the rest of the formations. And the fighter squadrons, which were protecting the whole group of planes, they stayed with the main force rather than come back and stay with us. So about 90 German fighter planes attacked our 28 planes, and after we were outnumbered, and so they shot down 9 of the 28. Our whole 20th squadron, which was made up of 7 planes, they were all shot down, plus 2 planes from the other squadrons in that group. But I never heard what really happened, if anything, to the colonel that was leading the group. And one of these fellows that I went to the reunion with a couple of he heard it, he got some kind of a commendation. What it was, I don't know, like forward, I don't know.
Did you name your plane? Did you have a name for your plane? Or
No, because we lost, we lost the one plane that took over. I don't think we even had a name on it. But you're liable, you never hardly ever flew the same plane. There's too many in a row.
what kind of planes were they?
B-17.
And what kind of bombs and ammunition did you?
Well, we had 10 50 caliber machine guns. Two at the tail of the plane, two in front, two on the top turret, two in the lower turret, and two on the waist mount. And the bombs we used were really dictated by what we were going to attack. When we wanted to destroy a factory, we would use high explosive bombs. If you were going after oil fields, and we would probably drop some incendiaries along with your regular bomb. Touch fire, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, were some targets that were heavily reinforced, you would probably go to a 1,000-pound bomb. We could carry 4 of those. The machine gun bullets, we had one regular bullet, which hits your kill you, and we had 2 armor-piercing bullets, which was supposed to be able to penetrate thicker steel, you know. And we had 1 incendiary and 1 tracer bullet. Now, the tracer bullet was, if I were to see in the movies sometimes, they were flat, bullet flying over the whatever, and it shows you where your bullets are going.
Was there any new technology that you guys used in World War II that you didn't use in World War I?
We were just glad, I think. We were just glad that they advanced from the planes that any rickrocraft or flew, I guess. No, I don't think it just really came so suddenly. All they could do was probably get together the best plane they could at that time, and just happened to be it. Plenty of people, but I'll tell you one thing that I didn't mention before, that the reason the United States lost a lot of heavy bombers over Germany was because of the fact that the fighter escort didn't have the range to stay with them long enough. Besides that, I mean, they run out of gas before they got back to England or Italy. And then in 1944, the United States came up with this North American Mustang. And it was really the best fighter airplane in World War II. And even after we got shot down, I was in prison there for 3 days while these 2 German pilots came in, and in so many words, wanted to speak a few words of English. And he said that the P-51, this Mustang, was a good airplane. You're all afraid of them. What they did was they took It had their power unit was an Allison engine in the initial PC-1. And they came up with a bright idea, whoever, I don't know who, putting this German or English Rolls-Royce engine, you know. And they picked up 50 miles an hour speed factor.
Oh.
So it was, at that time, it was the fastest fighter in the war.
Were there any German planes that you guys were afraid of?
We were afraid of all of them.
Oh.
Well, they had two excellent fighters. One was the Messerschmitt ME-109, and the other one was a Focke-Wulf 110. Both very good. The ME-109 had 50 caliber guns in the wing, plus a 20 millimeter cannon shot in each wing. And the Focke-Wulf had about the same thing. But these 20 millimeter shells, they burst just like a white ball of cotton. And fired a lot.
Were most of the missions that you had been on, were they done at night?
Oh no, we were always daylight bombing. The British did night bombing. We did what we called the hierarchy called precision bombing. But that sort of stretched them a little bit because they didn't always hit what they were supposed to. But that's neither here nor there. But and then the British, they would just pick a city because they couldn't find a factory in the city at night, you know what I mean? And they just try to obliterate the whole city. I don't know if you've ever heard about the bombing of Dresden.
Mm-hmm.
Dresden was the, what do I call it, the center of the art center of Germany in terms of paintings and I don't think they had a factory in the place. And but the British bombed it one night, and it set up such a firestorm it burned practically the whole city down.
Oh, wow.
There was some criticism about doing that. But we always bombed during the daytime. They shot down the British planes at night too,
So the night, being in the cover of night,
They dropped
didn't...
everything.
Mhm.
In fact, we used to go out when the British bombed the rail yard down at Nuremberg where the prison camp was. We had dug trenches outside of the barracks so we could get in them, you know, in case the bomb fell from the camp. And we'd take a piece of wood and put over our head because the flak, these bursting anti-aircraft shells, they break up into pieces. Look at that piece in there. They break up into pieces, and if one of them hits you in the head, it'll kill you.
So your helmet wasn't enough? Oh. That looks pretty sharp. I don't want that hitting you through my head and through my skull.
You see, these shells break up into hundreds of fragments like that. And of course, when they burst close enough to the ship, where they go right through. We used to be able to tell whether they're close or not. Because if you could see the burst, then you're safe. If you heard a whoop, why, you know they're getting closer, because that's just a concussion of air, you know. And if you don't see it and you get hit, well, forget it.
Were a lot of casualties caused that way?
Yeah, they said that the survival rate of a bomber crew is 33%. I mean, 1 out of 3.
So you were one of the lucky ones.
I was really lucky.
Because of your injuries, is that why you received the Purple Heart?
Yeah.
And you were talking about the other award that you won? Or received, I shouldn't say won, because you didn't win it, you received it.
Well, we all got, the ribbons, you know, there's a number of ribbons there. One was for the Purple Heart, and one was for service in the European Theater of Operations. And the other was for, I forget what it was for here. It was for the number of missions that you flew. And then they have an oak leaf cluster that goes on there. And after the first X number of missions, for like every 5 after that, and you get a new oak leaf cluster.
I don't have any more questions. Is there any other thing that you can think of? Any other memories? Well, actually, we're just short of an hour, so we've been talking for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah. If you think of anything, let me know. And I won't be able to put it on videotape, but I can add it in writing and send it to you. Well, thank you very much for sharing your
Thank you.
story.
You're welcome.